Okay. So, hello everyone. I am Jalinda Jones of Financial Group, the Chief Operating Officer, and today we are going to bring to you a great conversation about life, wealth, and trust. And so, this conversation I thought is so paramount because a lot of times we hear about life insurance, but we don't know that the next step to really make it great is estate planning. And so, I have Savon Bush on here today of the law offices of Savon Bush. To explain estate planning to us. And so I want you to take it away, introduce yourself how you want to, and we'll get into it.
Absolutely, Jalinda. I appreciate being in this session with you. I think that this is very crucial for what we both do. When you're talking about life insurance and you're talking about legacy planning, aka estate planning, you're really talking about generational wealth. And the other practice areas in my firm cater toward protecting generational wealth in all of its forms. So at my law office, we do legacy planning through wills, trust, and estates, and also powers of attorney. We also do probate. We also do small business litigation, and we also do small business counsel. And so we really focus on protecting families from the beginning of their economic livelihood, all the way to their passing and with the generational wealth perspective. And so I, again, am glad to be on this session with you talking about how we can use both life insurance and legacy planning to promote generational wealth.
Awesome, awesome. And real quick, I want to confirm, what states would you like to practice in, or what would you like to share there so that we know?
Absolutely. So we are licensed to practice in the state of Maryland as well as the District of Columbia, and we're serving entrepreneurs and families with, again, a focus on long-term financial stability and viability.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so today we have some brief topics we wanted to share with everyone to really help you feel confidence in starting that journey of estate planning and generational wealth. So I know you prepared this for us, and I wanted to give you the floor to go ahead and start it off with talking about the things that we should consider when it comes to trust planning and generational wealth.
Absolutely. So when it comes to legacy planning, uh, at least at my firm, what we're really talking about is how to use what is available to us in the law to secure your finances, your children's finances, and your ancestors and heirs' finances. And the way that we do that, might sound a little bit abstract, but the way that we do that is the same way that the Rockefellers have been doing it, the Trumps, the Carnegies, and that's through wills, trusts, and powers of attorney, and also just making sure that there are no tangled titles associated with any properties that you own. And so when we talk about what is the real meat and potatoes of legacy planning, you're really talking about trust planning. And the reason for that is because a trust is the most proactive component of your legacy plan, while a will, which is what most people are familiar with, a will is that last resort backup option for if your trust planning fails. And so our first topic is trust planning and generational wealth. So one thing, that I've been definitely surprised to learn from a lot of folks is that the Black community is not using generational wealth tools as much as their counterparts are using it. So one story that I often chuckle at is one of my friends were saying that white folks, for example, do legacy planning so much, meaning they do wills, trusts, things of that nature so much that every time that they take a vacation, they're updating their legacy plan. I can't tell you the last time anybody in my circle has been that diligent with their legacy planning, and that needs to change. And so the way that we change that, the way that we start moving forward to really being proactive about our generational wealth is we make use of trusts. And the first component of having a trust is knowing who your trustee is going to be, meaning who the person who will administer your trust is going to be, who's going to be that person that you can trust in order to make sure that whatever you put in your trust, which is a blueprint of how you want your family's trajectory to go, that person will be able to carry that out. And one of the benefits of trust planning is making sure that your assets do not go to probate. I always say that probate is the enemy of generational wealth. And the reason being is because people attach your assets during the probate process. So I have a client whose father passed away, and she's going through the daughter is going through the probate process, and in this process, all of the father's creditors have to make themselves known to the estate. And I just got a whopping bill for the estate. And so when you're creating a trust, you essentially remove those assets from the estate so that, again, you're not being badgered and pestered by the debt of the person that passed away. So it's not, a tax avoidance kind of mechanism, a trust, but it does protect your privacy, and it also protects uh, the estate's finances in the process. So that is one thing to consider when you are trust planning.
And so then I had a question for you too. Are you only choosing one person to assign as your trustee, or can you have many people? What is the importance about who you choose as your trustee?
Absolutely. So the name of the game in legacy planning is trust. Whether you're creating a will, a power of attorney, or a trust itself, the name of the game is trust. So you can appoint as many people as you trust to administer your trust. But the thing is that you have to make sure that they're competent, that you can actually rely on them, right? And that they're not looking for a free meal off of your assets or your belongings. So that's the most important criteria. But in terms of the number of trustees that you can have as many as your heart's content.
Just as long as you trust them. Okay. That's good to know. Okay. And so then also I see you mention here the concept of a trustscape. And I, for one, have actually never heard that term before. So I was interested and eager to hear what is that and why is that something that we need to know about?
Absolutely. So the concept of a trustscape is pretty interesting. The reason being is because it forces you to think of your trust as a landscape, right? The word trustscape is a play on the word landscape, and pretty much the concept is that whatever you do with your trust constitutes your trust landscape, your trustscape. So really, I just wanted the person watching this to know that when you're thinking about trust planning, think about it in terms of your trustscape, meaning, for example, if you want your home to go to your child and you put the home into the trust, right, so that you can secure that transfer without things having to go to probate, the distribution of your home is part of your trustscape, right? If you want, let's say you have $30,000 just kind of laying around. Not a lot of people do, but look, you got to save. So let's say, for example, you have just $30,000 that you want to give, and it's an account. You tell your trustee, look, I want you to, take this account, safeguard it for my child. That account is part of your trustgate, right? So in our other example, the home is part of the trustgate, the account is a part of the trustgate, and whatever else you leave under the direction of your trustee is going to constitute your trustgate.
Wow. Okay, and so then with that being said, this is very popular as well. When we hear about getting a legacy plan, we start to hear people say, "Hey, I'm going to just get a irrevocable trust, copyright my name." I've heard some very interesting scenarios. So I think it is important to understand the difference between the irrevocable trust and the revocable trust, and why someone would choose one over the other.
Yes, yes. And this is something that folks ask me no matter where I go. And I love to get the question because it shows that people are doing their homework and their research about the different kinds of trusts. And really, when folks are doing their research, all it takes is to just be able to implement and carry through with your research. This is the same kind of thing. So, with trust planning, there are two types of major trust options out there. One is the irrevocable trust, and the other is the revocable trust. So, as the names suggest, an irrevocable trust is a trust that cannot easily be changed, revoked, terminated, while a revocable trust can uh, be, more easily changed, amended, and revoked. And the big thing with the two different types of trusts is that they allow you to do different things depending on what your legacy planning needs are. So with a revocable trust, uh, it's great if you really need flexibility in your trust planning, meaning you want to be able to update your trust plan as easily as you want because your life is changing from minute to minute or from year to year. With an irrevocable trust, it's more for special things such as life insurance planning, as well as Medicaid planning. And so, with the irrevocable trust, I think the most pertinent part of this conversation would be to focus on how an irrevocable trust can help your life insurance planning needs.
Okay. Okay, so how would an irrevocable trust help? Because I know with irrevocable, that means that not only can you not have access to it, but usually it's protected from like Medicaid spend down as well. So what would be the reason for someone to lock up their money in that way?
So the big reason is because you want to use your trust as a government avoidance mechanism, meaning you want to be able to qualify for certain special benefits like Medicaid, and you want to be able for your trust to inherit your life insurance proceeds so that your trust can be the one to distribute the proceeds exactly how you see fit.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you got life insurance, you got $100,000 policy, um, just using simple numbers, and you wanted to benefit your children with the proceeds of that life insurance policy, but you can't actually list them on the insurance policy just yet because of some overriding factor. For example, if you have children who are under 18, many insurance companies won't let them inherit the proceeds of those policies outright. And so,
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
absolutely. And so, the way that folks try to set up a life insurance policy for the benefit of their children or for other heirs is that they list somebody who they trust as a beneficiary of the life insurance policy. But what ends up happening is that the person who is supposed to inherit the policy under the law, under the guidance of the policy that you name them in, they usually get the money and they run off with it, meaning you can't find them again. They've received a chunk of money and they are missing. The money does not go to the children that you wanted the policy to benefit. And the main reason is because there is no accountability once those proceeds are distributed. With the irrevocable trust, that gap is filled, and you can name the trust as the beneficiary of the life insurance policy, uh, and at the same time have a clear set of directives for how you want that money to be spent. And so that's the real virtue of an irrevocable trust. It helps to supplement and enhance your life insurance policy.
I think that's phenomenal. Thank you for breaking that down because 9 times out of 10, when we talk about the conversation of generational wealth when it comes to life insurance, people say, well, I'm not just trying to make the people I leave behind rich. They don't want to just leave them a check that goes to them and now they have $100,000 to blow. So I think that this conversation is so pertinent to understand, okay, we'll take the next step and create a legacy plan that says not only do they get this large sum of money, but now you actually have to use this money to raise children, to replace the income of a said person and only get a certain amount per month, or to make sure that they keep the house and pay off the house with the funds. So I think this conversation helps our community understand that there is a way to guarantee that generational wealth and that legacy by saying, not only am I going to leave you the money, but I'll also leave you instructions and a rule book or a guide map of how you can use this. So it goes right back to the trustscape. So thank you so much for explaining that. Now, I see you have here logistics of setting up an irrevocable trust, benefits of an irrevocable trust. And we kind of talked about that just previously. Was there anything else about the logistics that is important to point out when we're talking to people about setting this up?
Absolutely. And so, really, I just want to leave folks with a basic skeleton of how a trust works. And so, whether you have a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust, uh, the mechanics are the same, more or less. So, you're going to have a settlor or a grantor, and both of those terms mean the same thing. They both mean the person who is creating the trust. So, if I'm both the settlor and the grantor. In this case, you need to know what a trustee is. A trustee is a person who is in charge of running the trust, a manager of the trust, as you will. That's going to be the same in both the irrevocable trust and the revocable trust. You also have beneficiaries. Those are the folks who are supposed to benefit from the trust. You also have distributions or distribution scheme. And that's pretty much how you want the assets that are in the trust, which can include life insurance policies. How do you want your trustee, your manager, to transfer those things or invest those things or manage those things for the best benefit of the beneficiaries? So, either way, if you're doing an irrevocable trust or revocable trust, those are the concepts that are consistent in both.
Nice. And I wanted a lot of times I get the one of the most frequently asked questions is a lot of people have not had the pleasure of being exposed to estate planning and legacy planning. So they want to know, what should they budget to work with you? What is it like to consult with an estate planning attorney? And so 9 times out of 10, when I'm helping them on the life insurance side, I tell them, okay, well, one, you'll have to set up a consultation because it depends on the complexity of what you're asking from that attorney. So I always wanted to know, what is your answer to when people say, hey, how do I work with you? What is that? How does that work?
Absolutely. So, the best way to work with me, the best way to reach out and find out what you need is to give me a call. I am always open to calls. My office is always open to calls. But really, that first consultation is going to be about how big are your legacy planning needs, what exactly do you need, and what you don't need. I love being transparent with my clients. I'm not going to nickel and dime or overprescribe a solution for my clients that just does not fit their needs. And so, most cases, you're going to need a will of some sort. Most people do need a trust. It doesn't have to be irrevocable, but it's a great management tool for most folks, especially if you're seeing a financial planner of any sort. So there are some things that if you have or if you fulfill those criteria, you must get a legacy plan done. So one of those things is, if you have a life insurance policy, you need a legacy plan. If you have a financial planner, you need a legacy plan. If you have children, you need a legacy plan. If you have a bank account with assets $5,000 and over, you need one. If you have a car in your name, you also need a life insurance and legacy plan, right? There's certain things that you just need uh, if you fulfill certain criteria, and legacy planning is one of those things that helps you immediately and helps you down the road with your generational wealth. So really, just talking about uh, exactly what the remedy is for your situation is how the process will go with my office. And again, we would be more than glad to talk to folks who reach out to us.
And I heard you say if you have a car, and I see on here you talked about remember to retitle your assets, because what if you have a home too? You hear a lot of things about, wait a minute, don't just put someone else's name on your mortgage and things of that nature. So Was there something you wanted to mention there when you said remember to retitle your assets?
Yeah, so pretty much we have a running kind of gag in the legacy planning world where we just see a lot of things that folks do wrong when it comes to legacy planning.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what'll happen is that folks may get a trust done. They may get a trust done by themselves, by, certain online platforms like Zoom, things of that nature. But the mistake is that they'll think that because they got a trust, that the job is done. The job isn't done with creating a trust until you retitle assets in the name of the trust, and you also get a certificate of ownership of the assets that are in that trust. And so I just wanted to give folks a little reminder that, if you're thinking about doing a trust, you're thinking about trust planning, create the actual trust, create the device that you need, but also remember to do your follow up due diligence about how to properly convert your assets to the ownership of the trust.
Nice. Nice. Okay. So I think this is exactly what our community needs when we talk about that intro to legacy planning and estate planning. This has been such a great session. Thank you so much for taking out the time to help and provide this information. I don't think you said what was your phone number or the best way to contact them.
Oh, absolutely. I do think that I left that out. So it's 202-810-5506. And you can find out more information about legacy planning at our website, www.sjbadvocacy.com. Or you can email me directly at Stevan, Stevaughan, at sjbadvocacy.com. And we'll get right to you with any answers to your questions that you may need.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I stopped recording. Okay, let me, oh wait, I'm stop sharing. Wait a minute. How
Uh,
do you stop recording?